Welcome to Big Blue's Exploration. Today, you join me from Hong Kong, where this video starts, after arriving from Jakarta. So my flight with Cathy Pacific in business class from Jakarta was pleasant, as one would expect. It was the old style domestic business class rather than international one, meaning that it was a 2-3-2 angled flatbed. The same as you do get on the old style Filipino Airlines aircraft, which go up to 15 hours. Luckily, they're now getting phased out. The flight itself was good. The food selection was as usual. You have it's all made in Indonesia, or in Hong Kong, but it's with halal principles, so there's no pork products used, which is quite interesting because that's very contrary to Hong Kong and Chinese sort of cooking. So you have obviously your Chinese sort of menu, you have your nasi lemak style breakfast from Indonesia, and then you have a Western style breakfast. The flight itself went really smoothly. It was really interesting to have a little chat with the cabin crew and find out the fact that they literally dump all the juices, even if they're sealed. The only things that they keep are obviously alcohol and other sorts of canned beverages sealed, but they actually have to empty all juices. I suppose that's in case anyone's contaminated, it's been contaminated on the ground. That was interesting. It sounded like a lot of waste goes there, which they could and should be addressing. So as you can see, lots of footage here on the ground in Hong Kong. Really good sightseeing that day. Atlas Cargo, Swiss Airlines, KLM, obviously lots of Cathay, British Airways, Air New Zealand, etc. aircraft flying and landing, and Compass Air Cargo as well. Nice to see lots of 747s there, especially as they're quite a dying breed, unfortunately. Lots of weird sorts of statues around the airport. Seems like there might be some sort of American influence there with how they're portrayed. Overall, the airport as usual was great. I had a walk around the full terminal once or twice, and went to the Cathay Pacific first class lounge at the pier, because at this point the wing was still closed and was closed for quite a while, almost a year at that point. And I also found the sad news that I wasn't going to get to use the cabanas when they reopen, because they're getting rid of the two basically bedrooms with massive baths, instead replacing them with some smaller of couch sort of rooms and more showers. So that's a shame, because that was one of the best functions of the Cathay Pacific first class lounge. I went in, they had a great selection of buffet stuff if you wanted. They had some fresh macaroons, they had a good cake selection, cheese, meat, and some hot dishes. And then you could go through to the restaurant or order at the bar and order a full selection from the menu. In the lounge I had a chat with one of the ladies who was wearing one of the special uniforms from the ages past. This one was, I think it was 1970s, but I've also seen 60s and I've seen a 50s uniform as well. So they're celebrating their 80th year by showing all these uniforms off, which is very nice to see the different ones which we haven't obviously seen and won't see for quite a while again. So the time passed quite quickly, even though it was 3 or 4 hours. I had a good chat with a couple of guys at the bar, had some interesting conversations with them, and then had a walk around the terminal, had a wash, which is the best thing you can have in the airport, is a wash while you're transiting, and then made my way to the gate, ready for my 13-hour flight to San Francisco, which was a really good flight. Got into the cabin. Yes, it was the old business class ticket seat, but really comfortable bedding provided. And always get really hot. I bring my own pajamas with me from Qatar, because they're one of the few airlines that offer business class pajamas. So I put that on just as I was boarding, and then had a really enjoyable dinner on that flight before settling in for the long flight across the Pacific. Did have the Cathay Pacific burger, which was quite interesting. That in America they serve crisps if you have burgers on the plane, like with Shake Shack, or Alaskan they make it themselves. But on Cathay Pacific they can actually serve fries like they do on Etihad, and they're still crispy. So that just seems like a little bit of imagination needed from the American carriers, especially if it's not Asian carriers, which are completely different in that respect, to produce the same sort of or better quality. So that's quite funny on that point. Pre-landing meal again, breakfast and stuff didn't really have that much of it because it was getting quite late at that point, at 3 or 4 o'clock in San Francisco. I arrived, got through, realised that my hotel didn't have a shuttle, which was really annoying. I ended up making my way there. Had some cheese to post to a friend in Alaska, so went and did that, and then continued to the post office, which I got to not long before they closed. So that day ended up being just a really long travel day. I got some naps, good quality sleep on the Cathy Pacific airport, about 5 or 6 hours, plus the few hours nap earlier on in the day. So overall, really quite well rested, ready for my short layover before heading up to Kelowna in British Columbia, which I did the next day. Arrived at the airport at time, went through San Francisco Lounge, quite interesting. Best features was the chocolate squares from the San Francisco Giraldi chocolate company, which is, it's American chocolate, so it's okay, but it's much better than Hershey's or their version of Cadbury's. And then made my way onto the aircraft, had a short flight, and then in Los Angeles headed to the Qantas first class lounge to have some breakfast, and then made my way back. Have a quick stop in the American one, found some smoked salmon which I had, and some sushi stuff which was quite interesting. So I had some fish and stuff like that for breakfast, and then headed on to the flight and found out that I'd been upgraded to first, so I ended up getting some lunch on the flight, which was one of their burgers. It was interesting to compare the burgers from the night before to that, and it was quite fun. The burger on Cathy Pacific was actually better than the one on Alaska Airlines. But I got to Kelowna, managed to get the earlier bus than planned. I had communicated them through phoning the Kelowna transfers from the lounge. I messaged them until they got a response, so that was fine. And then I finally got out there only about 10 or 15 minutes after they were meant to depart, so that was good. And then finally made my way over to Revelstoke, getting there about 3 or 4 o'clock. I did actually leave my phone on the van, but that was okay because they were just going up to the lodge and then heading back to Kelowna. So he did drop off about an hour later, so that was fine. Finding my phone became very useful, especially as even without that I would have realised straight away where it was. And luckily they had some more stops before heading back to Kelowna, so I got the phone back. And then started my American Canadian adventures. Thank you very much again, ladies and gentlemen, for watching another Big Blues Explorations, and please stay tuned for more in the coming weeks and months.